Hey guys, so we're going to be doing international standards of MIS.
We'll start off with this video.
Humans have come far in making our dreams into realities, and the journey continues. We are pushing the boundaries of what we thought possible to solve problems with creativity, perseverance, and collaboration. Because our greatest achievements are never the effort of one person. But to work together, we need to understand each other.
It's a core team today of 150 people. They shared the information based on standards. Without these, we would never have been to understand each other.
To build on yesterday's accomplishments, to create the innovations of today and tomorrow.
Standards will help, especially developing countries, to grow more with less.
To exchange knowledge, to make things compatible.
ISO is very important for promoting the new designs. We couldn't have done it without ISO.
ISO standards are the solid base, the common language that humanity can rely on. ISO. Great things happen when the world agrees.
So we chose to show this video because it really shows how ISO is bringing the world together, especially with regards to the entire information system community. And we believe that because of these standards, innovation can take place, and whether that be through file sharing or the types of technology we use and all the hardware and software that is on our computers and those kinds of things, standardizing it can make it a lot easier for international communities to connect and create new technologies and work together in order to make the world a better place. So we're going to start off talking about security standards within ISO. Security relates to IT and information systems, and it has information systems management security standards. And this approach helps to keep all of the company's information safe and secure so that there are no data breaches that happen. The code for this is ISO IEC 270,000. It's a part of a family, and there's a lot of pieces to it. The life cycle is 5 years, so they update it every 5 years. But because IT and IS is so changing within the world constantly, they update it more often. So the last update was actually this year, and the one before that was in 2016. So they had updated it from a 2 years instead of the 5 years lifeline. So if we look at the overall components of information systems that we've learned here in class, we start off with hardware. And when you're talking about security, the hardware can be anything from a computer to a phone to something that someone can hack onto or use to get secure information. And then looking at softwares, like especially within security, it's the information systems management security systems that are used to make sure that security is in place. And a lot of companies use detection software so that they know if a breach has happened, and then their people within the company will react according to their training and their standards that they've created for their company. Data is a pretty big one as well, because that's what you're trying to protect. That's why security exists and is necessary. The procedures, kind of like I mentioned before, are the people that go and try and fix things that have happened or try to prevent them from happening in the first place. It's all based off of training and standards that you've put into place beforehand so that people know the proper procedures that should happen as soon as there is a security breach or in order to prevent the security breach. And then the biggest one we learned in class is people, because people are usually the reason why security breaches happen. They make a mistake, or they share their password, or they're the people that could be hackers out there also. So that's the biggest one in security and looking at standards. So the overall security family includes vocabulary, leadership, planning, support, evaluation, and improvement. It's really nice that ISO provides all of these because it takes you from the very beginning, the setup, all the way to the end and following up to see how your company can do better. It starts off with vocabulary, just regulating the types of words used in security training and in plans so that if you were to say move companies, you would have the same term for your security procedure at one company and then the new company would be the same. For setup, leadership is very important, teaching your leaders what to expect when it comes to security and how to handle the situation. And it can be a make or break moment for a company, as well as planning so that all the employees within the company know what to do in the case of security and how to prevent any security breaches from happening. And then the follow-up is they walk you through how to get support in case your systems do fail and you need to look at them and evaluate them, which is the next step, and see if they're doing their job properly or if it was maybe a person's mistake, and that can be looked at by managers and leadership. And then overall improvement for the company and how they can do better with security so that they don't have to worry about security breaches. So let's start off by talking about security benefits for third world countries. I think that there are more benefits when we're looking at third world countries because it gives them the ability to enter into the market because they can gain the trust to get a contract from a first world country business, and that helps them create money and revenue that they wouldn't have been able to get otherwise. So also these services become compatible with other systems in the first world countries and westernized countries, so that way they know that the information that they're creating for these companies can actually be used, because if there was no way for the Western country to use the information that was sent to them, then they would have no reason to contract out. But if we look at the first world countries and the benefits they gain for themselves, it's really to gain that customer confidence that information won't be publicly shared, and such things as names, addresses, and credit card information will always be on lockdown, so to speak, and won't be public information. And it also avoids the brand damage that comes along with data breaches. There's a lot that goes on with public relations and trying to convince people that have had data breaches to come back to the company. So to just avoid that whole mess, it's easier to abide by ISO standards, and that gives your company a good reputation as well. And then it helps you manage risks effectively, so your personnel feel like that they can handle security issues and they know what to do in the case of a security breach. And ultimately, you're just trying to secure your assets.
Alright, so going into software, we're looking at ISO systems and software engineering standards. More specifically, ISO IEC 12207, which is a software lifecycle process. It's a standard that defines all tasks required for developing and maintaining software. The ISO IEC 12207 provides a common structure so that buyers, suppliers, developers, maintainers, operators, managers, and technicians involved with the software development use a common language and structure. This is an example of the ISO IEC 12207. It basically just categorizes the information into groups, processes, number of activities, and number of tasks.
Now I'm going to talk to you about cloud computing and international standards of MIS. In earlier years, the International Organization for Standards, the International Electrotechnical Commission, and the Telecommunications Standardization Sector all tried to separately create their own terminology and cloud reference architectures. However, WTO, or the World Trade Organization, requirements state that the government and companies need both IT and telecom to work together and use these standards in regulation and purchasing. So in 2014, 2 different standards were established that now provide a more consistent way of describing cloud services and what they include. So the first standard that was created was Cloud Computing Overview and Vocabulary. It introduces fundamental ideas of cloud services in a more straightforward fashion. This standard describes the characteristics such as scalability and elasticity, network access, on-demand provisioning and use. It also describes deployment models possible. For example, public versus private. Public is a huge data center offering services to all users, while private is a customer internally hosted data center. Lastly, it describes categories of cloud services and capabilities such as infrastructure capabilities and application capabilities. Another standard is Cloud Computing Reference Architecture, or CCRA. It builds on ideas of cloud computing in the vocabulary, and it also sets rules for customers and providers. The standard describes logical components used by the customer and provider while using or providing cloud services. The components perform activities of the roles and connect with each other to show relationships and enable activities. Here's an example of a CCRA, or a Cloud Computing Reference Architecture, or basically architecture for selecting and purchasing a cloud service. It focuses on human and technical resources in a model and how the tasks are organized and related to cloud computing. In the end, cloud computing has developed and became very important in the marketplace. But just like the software and manufacturing, cloud computing has international standards to withhold.
So to finish off our project, we wanted to show what ISO standards have done for companies, and we're going to show this last video.
We live in an amazing world, full of incredible opportunities and endless possibilities. But it can also be a complex and overwhelming place. When things don't work as they should, it often means that standards are absent. But when ISO standards are applied, life is just so much richer. ISO standards help to make the world a safer, cleaner, and more efficient place. From food safety to computers. From healthcare to new technologies. There are many challenges facing our environment, economy, and society. ISO can make a positive difference to all our lives, utilizing a wealth of international experience and wisdom. In today's ever-changing world, ISO standards help create growth, open up global markets, and make trade fairer, including for developing countries. ISO standards can help tackle global challenges like climate change, road safety, energy, and social responsibility. ISO standards touch almost everything we do, keeping us connected and entertained, making us more productive, more creative, sharing ideas, promoting innovation, and keeping us safe and healthy. ISO is the world's largest developer of voluntary international standards, with over 18,000 standards for nearly every aspect of technology and business. For over 60 years, a network of standards bodies in 163 countries, working in partnership around the world and right here at home. ISO builds confidence for today, for tomorrow, and for the future.
So as you could see from the video, ISO is just making the world a better place and keeping them connected. And we also have our references on this last slide.